The first section is 194I. 194I is applicable in respect of the rent. Rent in respect of plant and machinery, equipment, land building, factory building, furniture and fixtures. Now, who is responsible for deducting the TDS? Any person other than individual or HUF, and individual and HUF having certain limits of the turnover, gross receipts, sales that is exceeding 1 crore in case of business and 50 lakhs in case of profession is required to deduct the TDS at the rate of 2% in case of rent of plant and machinery or equipment and 10% in other cases. Only if the threshold is exceeding 50,000. Now, here the TDS is not applicable in case of cold storage charges and in respect of passenger service fees by an airline to airport operator, and in respect of the service tax component of the rental income, since it is not the income, it is the tax which is required to be paid to government. Suppose if there is lump sum lease premium on the acquisition of the long-term lease, only if it is set off against the monthly rent payments, only then the TDS gets applied. So it means if it is registered against the monthly rent payments, only then TDS applies. However, if it is not adjusted, then TDS will not get applied. Here, in this example, that is XYZ has entered into lease agreement to take building on rent, and the monthly rent is 46,000, and there is an increase of 10% applicable from the second year. Now, from May 25 to 31st March 26, the rent has exceeded 50,000, that is the second year onwards. So in the April month, there is no TDS. However, in case of May month onwards, there is a TDS applicability at the rate of 10%. Now, next section is 194 IB. This is in respect of individual and HUF who are not covered under 194I. Now, the threshold limit here is 50,000 per month or part of the month. So if it exceeds 50,000, then in such cases, rent on that rental income, the TDS need to be deducted. The rate of deduction is last month of the previous year or last month of the tenancy. From that, the TDS need to be deducted and remaining needs to be remitted. However, if the PAN is not provided, then in such cases, higher rate will be applicable. Whoever recipient of the income is there, if he doesn't provide the PAN, then in such cases, higher rate of TDS gets applied. Now, here Mr. X is a salaried individual. He is paying rent of 55,000 per month, that is from June. Now, if he stays till 31st March, then he will be staying for the year for a period of 10 months. The rate will be 2%. So 55,000 into 2% into 10 months will be the TDS. Now that TDS will be deducted from the last month's rent, whatever is applicable. However, if he vacates during December, then in such cases he stays for 7 months and the rate of TDS is 2%. Now 7,700 will be the TDS. So that TDS will be deducted from the last month of the tenancy, whatever is there. From that it will be deducted and emitted. Suppose if the PAN of the recipient of the income is not given, then in such cases 20% will be the TDS. However, it will not exceed the month, that is the rent of the last month, or the rent of the last month of the tenancy, whichever is applicable. Next comes fees for the professional or technical services. So now here every person other than individual or HUF, if he is paying any sum to the recipient, then in such cases the TDS will be deducted in respect of fees for professional services, fees for technical services, or royalty, or non-competent fees, or remuneration fees, or commission which is not covered under 192 to a director of the company. And in case of individual and HUF whose turnover is crossing 1 crore, in case of business, turnover gross receipts or sales, if it is crossing 1 crore in case of business, and 50 lakh in case of profession, then in such cases fees for professional services and fees for technical services, in respect of it, TDS need to be deducted. However, in case of fees for royalty, non-competent fees, there is no TDS which gets applicable in respect of individual and HUF. However, if the professional fees is for personal purposes, then also TDS will not get applied. Now, what are the rates which is getting applicable? Now, 2% in case of technical fees, royalty in the nature of consideration for sale, distribution, exhibition of the cinematographic films of a call center, and 10% in any other cases. And there is a limit of 50,000 each. It is up to 50,000 in case of separately in case of profession or fees for professional services, technical services, royalty, non-competent fees. If they do not exceed 50,000, then TDS need not be deducted. If it exceeds, then TDS need to be deducted. And professional services doesn't include teaching services, painting, sculpture, etc. So technical services include managerial services, technical services, consultancy services, etc. Now next, if there is any payment by way of commission or brokerage which is not covered under insurance or brokerage, then for professional services, then for carrying out any work in pursuance of the contract, then 194M is applicable, provided the payment, aggregate payment, whatever is there, it doesn't exceed 50 lakhs. Then, no, in such cases 2% TDS needs to be deducted. So these individuals and HUFs are not covered under the 194C, H and J. These shouldn't be covered under these individual and HUF shouldn't be covered under these sections. Now there are certain illustrations which has been given. Mr. Ganesh is an individual carrying on retail business with a turnover of 2.5 crores in the previous year 24-25. So there is a contract payment. So contract payment will be covered under 194C and 194M, right? So now it is for repairs of the residential house. So since it is a residential house, contractual payment in respect of the residential house is not covered under 194C, and also the individual is not individual or HUF is other than those individual and HUF. They are not normal individual and HUF which are covered under 194M, right? So there is a point where 194C also can get applied, but however if it is for personal purposes it gets rejected. And in case of 194M, here the payment whatever is there, it doesn't get exceeded by 50 lakhs, right? Whatever payment is there, it doesn't get exceeded by 50 lakhs. Now next it is Mr. Rajesh, a wholesale trader whose turnover was 95 lakhs in previous year 24-25. So in case of business it is not exceeding 1 crore, right? So here contractual payment has been made for reconstruction of the residential house made during January to March 26. They've given the payment 20, 25 and 20, 15 and 20. So it is exceeding 50 lakhs. Here in case of 194M, irrespective of whether it is for personal purposes or it is for residential purposes, 194M will get applied. So 2% will be applicable. And 194C will not get applied. One thing is here it is for personal purposes, and one more thing is the turnover is not exceeding the specified limits. So then we have Mr. Satish, a salaried individual, a brokerage for buying of the residential house in March 26. So we have brokerage also, commission other than insurance commission. So here also 194M gets applicable, and they have given salaried individual. Assuming salary doesn't cross so much limit, then also we can take. So here Mr. Dheeraj is a pensioner. Contractual payment which is made for residential house, that is from October to November, so 48 lakhs. So since it is not exceeding 50 lakhs and his normal individual HUF, 194M is not applicable. Now we have TDS on cash withdrawal, that is 194N. It is applicable for which the Banking Regulation Act applies, cooperative societies and post office. So if a person is withdrawing in excess of 1 crore during the previous year, TDS at the rate of 2%. So in case of cooperative society, it is 3 crores. So if you are withdrawing in excess of these limits, then TDS will be applicable. Suppose if I am withdrawing 90 lakhs from SBI and 90 lakhs from Bank of Baroda, then in such cases TDS will not get applied. However, if I am withdrawing 50 lakhs from SBI, one branch, and 50 lakhs or 51 lakhs from another branch of SBI, then in such cases, aggregate of all the branches put together, the limit is exceeding 1 crore, hence TDS will be applicable. However, if a bank has the rate of TDS is 2% of the sum. Now, if the recipient has not furnished the returns for all the 3 assessment years relevant to the 3 previous years wherein time limit has expired, then in such cases 20 lakh will be the limit. So if you are withdrawing in excess of 20 lakhs but less than or equal to 1 crore, 3 crore in case of cooperative society, then 2% will be the TDS. 5% will be the TDS if the amount is exceeding 1 crore and exceeding 3 crores in case of recipient being cooperative society. So here various situations are given. So Arshid is withdrawing from SBI on 1/7/25. So it is 1,10,000. So now, 1 crore 10 lakhs. So on 10 lakhs, 2%, that is 20,000, is the rate of TDS. So now Mr. Pranav is withdrawing 90 lakhs, that is less than 1 crore from SBI. So no 194N applicability. ABC Cooperative Society is withdrawing from SBI, that is 2 crore 70 lakhs. Since the amount is less than 3 crores, there is no applicability of 194N. Again, XYZ Cooperative Society is withdrawing from MNU Cooperative Bank of 3 crore 10 lakh. Now 10 lakh on 10 lakh 2% needs to be deducted. Mr. Fiber is withdrawing from MNU Cooperative Bank in excess of 1 crore. So in excess of 1 crore, the amount is 1 crore 10 lakh. On that, 2% need to be deducted. So now A Limited is withdrawing from MNO Cooperative Bank of 1 crore 5 lakh. So on 5 lakh, 2% need to be deducted. So DF and Co firm is withdrawing from MNO Cooperative Bank since the amount is less than 90 lakh, but however probably he has not filed the return of income, so hence 20 lakh limit will get applied. In excess of 20 lakh, there is 70 lakh, on that 2% will get applied. So these all, Mr. Varun, Mr. Rakesh, Speaker, Cooperative Bank, they have not filed the return of income. So hence these limits will be applicable. So now, they have not filed the return of income. So we need to see 20 lakh to 1 crore and above 1 crore limit. So now, 20 lakh to 1 crore, the amount is 80 lakhs. On 80 lakhs, 2%, and on 20 lakhs, 5%. That is above 1 crore, it is 20 lakh. On that, 5% needs to be deducted. So then what we have is Rakesh is withdrawing an amount of 45 lakhs. So here 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs. On that, 2% needs to be deducted. So then what we have is PQR Cooperative Bank. It is deducted. It is withdrawing from Bank of India. So same provisions it will be applicable. It is a cooperative society, and so up to 3 crore it is 2%, and above 3 crore it is 5%.